Good evening. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm your host Ellie. And we have William and Mary on the line tonight. So hello to Mary and William.
Hello, everybody.
Mary.
Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
I was like, you guys got
Hello.
quiet. I was like, oh my God, I lost them. Oh my God.
We're
And
here.
yeah, so we're going to start off with Mary. And I couldn't get a better picture, but this one for her while she's on the line. Now, Mary's special report is we're going to start here in the States for the World War III report because I really feel we could be going into a civil war or a war within the part, not just only within the parties, but the migrants that are building up around the country. Now, they have been building up for a very long time. William could probably even throw in since World War One. Now, I didn't start following any of this until Iraq because of ISIS, which is it's a sub terrorist group that came out of Taliban, and so I wanted to watch them and see where they went, and then once we had the war, they kind of scattered. Well, then I found them up in Syria. Well, next thing I know, they're in Mexico. A friend of mine that gives me a lot of good info out of Tijuana told me ISIS is in Mexico and they're here in Tijuana and they're crossing the border by the dozens. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. And this is during the Obama administration. And she said, they're coming in on the trains. Look at the trains. So I looked at the trains and it was mainly men. And I've told you this before 16, 15, 16 to about 35. Now we have them being transported on airplanes into certain cities. So I'm going to turn kind of over to Mary so she can start giving you what's going on in these cities across the United States. So go ahead, Mary.
Hello. Well, the reason I got involved in this is I'm about 30 miles from Springfield, Ohio. It's been very interesting there and quite a few towns here in Ohio. Not only do we have the immigrants, the Haitians that I'm speaking about specifically at the moment, but they're being placed everywhere. We're talking about Lima, Ohio, Sydney, Ohio, Springfield, Ohio, Findlay, Ohio, Mansfield, Ohio. And the towns are feeling invaded, and they're all having the very same thing go wrong. But there's not really a homeless problem, it's a displacement problem. The local residents can't afford to live there because the landlords are fixing up properties and charging 3 times the rent and taking in the Haitians. I mean, even in the schools, the children are that usually go there are being neglected, not able to do their studies because a lot of the children can't speak the language, and so the teachers are trying to adhere to them and help them.
Mary, just real quick for a second. You're talking about the rent being 3 times. The reason that it's 3 times is because what they do is they'll get a house, let's say that's for $900 a month, a 3-bedroom. Well, they squeeze 24 to 30 of them in. So they charge 3 times the amount of rent for the 24 to 30 people that they house in one house.
Right. And what they're doing is they're charging $200 a cot every 8 hours. So these people are being taken advantage of too. Okay, they are. They were sold a bill of goods as well because they're coming from a country that, pardon me, is hell, if I can say that. And it's terrible that you can't just drop a third world country in the middle of a small town with no resources and no plan to do it with. And the thing is, their culture is aggressive towards women, like the Muslim culture is aggressive towards their women. So a lot of women are feeling threatened in Springfield because they are being harassed. And I'm concerned also because, well, first let me back up here on the housing thing real quick, and then I'll go to the gun situation because that's not good. The pattern that I'm seeing in all these cities is what they do is they find the neighborhoods that are completely run down and unlivable. They fix them up, they bring in the jobs, they bring in the migrants. And the people who live in those towns, they're X'd out. Mm-hmm. And it's just so strange because they're driving around in $100,000 vehicles with no license plates and no license. They get into an accident, something happens to them, they can just go, no problem. That can't happen to me. I'm going to jail. I got problems. So I'm saying to myself, do these people have diplomatic immunity? I mean, I'm a diplomat's daughter. I understand diplomatic immunity, and these people act like they have diplomatic immunity.
They're what gets me, Mary, is I like to watch cops, and the thing about it is, or you know, cop trailers, I guess. I don't know what they're called. On Exxon is where I get videos. I got, you know, permission to use their videos, and they're having these illegal aliens that with these cars, they're giving the cars, and they're going on the on ramps in the wrong direction. So when they get on, they're automatically heading in the wrong direction, and they're getting mad at the cars for heading towards them because some of the countries they come from, it's the opposite side of the road.
Right. Well, who's giving these people cars with no instructions? And why are they driving? I don't understand. It makes no sense. And now what I've looked into is these people have an app on their phone. They're getting money, and it's getting downloaded onto a card, and they're spending money. But what they're doing, they're walking and buying the car dealerships and buying cars in cash. Now this, where I get my information is I've been following a few people around on YouTube that are going around the city talking to people and finding out what's going on. Nothing I'm making up, you know. And I have a friend who is in a domestic violence shelter because of what happened to her, and she can't get on she's on housing that's going to take a year. Okay, what's she going to do? She's barely getting services. She wants to get a job and get on with her life. You know, this is now that she's out of that situation. But what I want to get to that scares me is the guns, because there's on YouTube, and you can see her, this woman who worked in a gun store there, a gun shop, in Springfield.
Do you know who did the video on it? You could say.
Yes, yeah, I'm going to put all that down.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Hang on. Anyway, what she did was she said that they are selling guns to Haitians. They come in groups, and usually one person can get the gun with a license, a driver's license. She said one time this man came in with a temporary driver's license and was saying that he didn't live at that address, and then he said he did, so she didn't let him have the gun. He grabbed her hand, got very aggressive with her, and said that she better give him that gun. So the store owner said, just let him have it. Okay, and then another person came in with an ID from Mexico, and they sold him the gun. This is every day they're coming into all these gun shops and buying guns. Well, what are they doing with them? I have a friend who hunts, and he said he saw them out hunting during deer season. So, I mean, yes, you hunt to get food, and that's normal and all, okay. But they just come in, they're buying lots of guns. And then I really got nervous when I seen someone on YouTube had filmed the what we call the mystery bricks, where they show up where all these riots start. So we have this rally that is planned for the 28th, okay? And it's planned at, let me get my notes here. Okay, it's planned at the Heritage Plaza. Guess what the name of this rally is? Pissed Off American March. Okay. Are we just asking for trouble?
Well, no, before you move on with the guns, the other thing is a lot of these prison gangs are hooking up with the gangs. And the gangs they got trunkfuls, according to one of the, I don't want to say he's a gangster, but he drives around in these gang neighborhoods and they wave at him. And he never shows his face. And I got a hold of him and I said, who are you? And can I use some of your info? And he told me yes, but he would never show his face, and he would never tell me who he was, because he said he's good as dead, if anybody knows. And he said, they'll come up in 4 or 5 of them at a time, and they just open the trunk and just hand them guns. And a lot of them are from the Fast and Furious. He said there's still Fast and Furious guns out there. And
well,
he said, it didn't stop even when Eric Holder went to Congress. They were still pouring in. And even they say a year after the fact. So can you imagine how many guns poured in from Mexico for what, a 4 or 5 year stretch? So these gang members, and you could look it up, folks, and you could even run it through gangs and guns, them giving them away on YouTube, and you'll see them. They just open their trunk and they hand them out. Sometimes they get money, sometimes they don't, he says. And then he says, they'll close it up. And he says it's almost like the drug dealers, Mary, to where a few will come up and then they open their trunk and dish it out and get a little bit of money, and they close their trunk and then they wait. So, I don't know if you call it dealing guns, but that's what's happening. And it's happening in a lot of cities, especially out of San Diego.
Well, what scared me also was Saturday morning, the Hebrew Israelites were marching. A group of men, military men, lots of them, marching in the streets of Springfield, claiming slavery and all kinds of things. So, and also Antifa is going to show up at this march. So I'm just, I'm looking at the MO of all these marches, so-called peaceful protests. Well, all the elements are here. So I'm very concerned about something getting off on the 28th. I'm worried about it.
And we also talked about during these protests, the peaceful protests, they put bricks and they put sharp objects. And I even told Mary they do bottles of gasoline. And so the protesters will go along these routes and they pick them up and put them in their backpack for later. But there's even been people during the nighttime when they're going up against the cops and it starts into a riot, where they'll wander off and they'll bring back the bricks and these bottles of gas and smoke bombs.
The YouTube video that I sent you, they showed the bricks, and then the guy went there and they were gone. So somebody's picked up 3 piles of bricks and has them in their possession.
And these are peaceful protesters. Mary, the one thing I did was facial recognition. So I watched many, many hours. You wouldn't believe the hours of protests, or not protests, but the protest marches. And I looked at the faces, I looked at the clothes, I looked at the masks. And lo and behold, here these are peaceful protesters. At night, these same people, the same clothing, the same masks, were there throwing smoke bombs and going after the cops and throwing bricks.
That surprised me.
So are they really peaceful protesters?
That is just so ridiculous.
And this is happening a lot at the colleges, up in Washington and Oregon, and out of Berkeley, California, one of the biggest colleges there. And they have that problem every single time. They've been, at one protest, they tore up the college. They got onto the college and they started going after people in the dorms.
Wow.
So, but the other thing, Mary, is with them all over the United States. They are, some of them are robbing stores. We've seen it. They go in as a bunch and they'll take stuff. What they're finding out is some of the migrants that I guess aren't so lucky to have those being taken care of, or the food stamp cards, or a cash
EBT
card.
Cash, EBT food.
Yeah, and their cash. Those that don't have them, they are now breaking into small mom and pop grocery stores and just cleaning them out. Just food, though. It's they're not going into like Walmart and taking clothes and shirts and pants and shoes. No, they're going after food. And so we know they're hungry.
They're going in the grocery stores here in Springfield and just opening up cans and jars and eating and throwing stuff on the floor. But they don't know any better. Okay, I lived in Jakarta, Indonesia, back in the early '70s, and I lived in embassy housing. Well, you're sitting in this big embassy mansion. Well, look outside out your gate, and you've got what's called kongpoons. They're right across the street, and they are whatever these people can put together with cardboard, whatever, to sleep for the night or have a home, and they're taking baths and drinking in the same river. Naked babies running around. People don't know what they're doing. They're urinating in the sides of the road. You know, these are the kind of people that they've put in the middle of these towns. And they are defecating in the streets, and it's not a lie. And there are plenty of people who are talking. My friend a couple of months ago was telling me about how the ducks were disappearing and the animals are disappearing. Now, whether it's because they're eating them to eat them or if they're using them for their voodoo rituals, I don't know. But
you know, Mary, I looked into that.
Happening.
I looked into it, and I've heard people say yay, and I've heard people say nay. And, you know, as long as they have.
They found their dog's heads cut off on YouTube. Oh, everyone's laughing, but it's true, you know.
You know, I'm going to say some of them, they're just not right. And a terrorist or a gang member is a terrorist. And they'll just kill to kill. They don't worry who it belongs to. And if it's a stray cat that's bugging them, they're going to kill the cat. Now, as far as eating them, now, they have been known to, and there are some of these smaller countries, they've been known to do this. But to say they're doing it here, now, if they get hungry enough, now, I hate to be mean to the Americans, too, that are homeless, but Mary, there's even people in the United States that are homeless that'll do the same thing.
Well, if you get hungry enough, you're going to eat something. I mean, if that's all that's left. You know, the way things are going.
But most of the time, what I'm finding now.
About 5 or 6 years ourselves.
Yeah, what I'm finding most of the time around the Bay Area, they're just killing birds and, like, you know, putting them on a stick, or a few of them on a stick, and roasting them. Some of the homeless are now having to resort to that. There's no jobs. The migrants are taking the jobs.
Exactly. That's what's happening in all these small towns. Exactly. And my friend was telling me today, you know, how all of a sudden everybody disappeared. You know, all the migrants disappeared, no Haitians anywhere. Well, apparently today, she said, they are all over High Street, which is the main street. She said there were so many out there, it was crazy. So I don't know if they've decided to come back out and show themselves after hiding, because they were hiding after all this attention, or what. I'm still watching that. Everything changes day to day, you know. And this community also has a high rate of AIDS too.
Yeah, and other sicknesses too.
Yeah,
we didn't vet them coming in, because remember, even I have to even give Obama the kudos, because at least when they were coming in his administration, they were checking them, you know, for diseases.
Right.
And then if they had anything, they were putting them under quarantine. But they don't do that no more, folks. And if they've got a odd form of measles, chickenpox, Ebola is running rampant around New York. And like you said, some of these other diseases. And we don't know. And the kids coming into the schools, we don't know. We used to have to get vaccinations.
Legally, the schools are not allowed to tell other parents when they have a child with a disease like that sitting next to them in school. They're not allowed to tell anyone.
Nope. And
so you don't know what your child's sitting next to.
And the other thing is the 25-year-olds that are being put into high schools as a 16, 17-year-old. And they're going after the girls. They're going after the girls.
Oh, especially, how about these wonderful liberal places that let the boys in the bathroom? That should be interesting.
Yeah.
These people don't, you know, they just, and I say these people,
well,
I mean,
Muslims aren't too keen on that. So if it's Muslim terrorists, and even those from South America don't agree with that, they're going to get hurt. It's just not that, you know, I'm being hateful. It's just the facts.
Well, no, they're victims too. Okay, they were lied to. A lot of these people were lied to. Hey, come on up. We'll give you a home. You can have whatever you want. And they give. I mean, look at this here. Grocery Lane Cashier on YouTube says that coming through her line on the EBT food stamps, $13,000. Cash assistance, $29,000. Now, either she's lying or not, I don't know, but that's what she said she's seeing. And a lot of these other casters are saying it's amazing the amount of food stamps and cash assistance these people have. It's
Yeah.
amazing. While everybody else can barely get anything.
Yeah.
That's not right.
I had an article today, Mary, that I found. It's an investigation that's been going on with the State Department and the FBI, and they have now released the fact that these, where you see a family unit come across the border, it's usually 80%, 80 to 90% of the time. I think it's more than that. The man of the group is a terrorist, and that is his wife and kids. He didn't want to leave them either in the Middle East or in a crime-ridden city.
Right.
Now, the other thing they're finding out is some of them are traffickers. So not only are they trafficking, they're trafficking the women that's supposed to be their wife with threats, but the kids are all sedated to where they're sleeping when they take them over the border. And so as a family unit, they can automatically just walk on by. And they're finding out they've been wrong on this. It's not a family unit. Yeah.
Right.
So,
and also, a lot of these children are recycled. They'll come across border 3 or 4 times till they're killed. And a lot of these border agents have seen this. And that information comes from Alex Jones.
yeah. And now another thing is the Catholic Charities and others that just were able to drive up and load people up, or kids or women, and drive away. Just like, so over with Ukraine, the same way when they were unloading military and munitions, they would drive up and they put it in their truck and they drive away. Well, that to me sounds like a terrorist. They already knew this. This is a practice they use. And so why not load up on some kids and women and drive away? And they were able to, claiming they were an organization that took care of the women and the children, as well as Catholic Charities. And I don't mean to be mean to Catholic Charities, but where are the kids?
They're involved, yeah.
Where are the kids?
Yeah, where are they? Where are the children? Where'd they go? How many? 300,000 some children are just gone? Gone?
Yeah.
That is crazy. That is crazy. And then I do want to get to this on this note here real quick, too, before we run out of time. The man who's handling a lot of the houses and the migrants, the Haitians in Springfield, his name, believe it or not, his nickname's King George. He owns 40 properties, has the houses packed, and he is who we were talking about, Ellie. That's down. It's the organization that has this transportation company, and this same transportation company is in Ohio and in West Virginia, and Alabama. So this is the same thing. It's the same MO in all these different. It's happening all over our country, and this kind of seems like an invasion to me.
Well, the other thing I'm finding out, looking at their routes, that they're busting them out in, and they're being arrested along the main highways, because I don't know if they just don't know to take, the other path, less likely traveled, but they're using the highways, for the big trucks.
I know there's some walking down 675
Mary, get
here.
this?
Yeah.
It's the same routes they were using during the cocaine days. It's the same route.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
Same route. Except for, I don't know, I haven't seen them come up through Arkansas, because Arkansas was a big hub. It was like this turning point where it went, East Coast, West Coast. I think what they're doing is they're using Arizona and New Mexico for it. I'm still checking it out, but that's what I'm finding out. I got someone over in Arizona I'm looking into it to see where are they branching, where are they, because they come in as a bunch, they get checked in, and then they're at a bunch, and then they get shipped certain places.
Well, it's this transportation company.
That's what you were saying, just like you were saying, a transportation company that would be taking them. exactly
Right.
what you're talking about.
I had surgery on my hand, so I'm having trouble writing. I wanted to write a lot of this stuff down. It's driving me nuts, but
You can always
there
go
was,
back and watch when you're better.
yeah. Well, when we were talking about there's this Haitian organization. They are suing President Trump and J.D. Vance. This is the organization that meets these people at the border and have been since, gosh, see, I couldn't write it down, but 19 had to do with the Obama. This, like we were saying, goes all the way back to the Clinton and Bush Obama era.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was the Obama time is when this organization was signed up to bring these people across the border. And that is the organization that is suing President Trump and J.D. Vance. They've already filed the paperwork in the courts. Prosecutor doesn't have to do anything, but it's there. People have a right to file. I think they're trying to set up J.D. Vance and Trump to blame them for whatever this big problem is going to be on the 28th up there, the big rally, whatever you want to call it. And I don't know if they could arrest them if they show up. I don't know. Karen said they can't. I don't know. But what if they show up and they get arrested? I mean, we know there's so many traps trying to get our president.
They will all the way to.
I just wonder if that's part of it too. I don't know. I may have got a tinfoil hat on today, but that's what it looks like. I don't know. I don't know the law in that area. Really.
And going back to everything they're getting and where they're placing, and they're putting not just a handful into these cities. They're putting 20 to 30, 40,000 into these sanctuary cities. Then they're getting guns, and then they're getting very brave against the citizens there, because what they're doing is after they load the 20,000 in, then they're getting these prison gangs, and they're putting them in there to start taking over, to get them together, to collect them up for what? I really, Mary, I just think they're getting ready for a war. Whether it's on their own.
They're already threatening to do it if Trump gets in. They've already threatened to do it.
My whole thing is they had 1,000 miles to walk. They had time to plan. I mean, really. I mean, how many times do you go across country for a vacation? By the time you get there, you know where you're going to go and what you're going to see. Well, they're all walking in groups. They're plotting. They're planning. And then when they get into Mexico, of course, for those that are terrorist or gang members, there's these training camps that further train them. Just like I told you about the guys from Somalia that just disappeared. They were close to the training camp, and then we didn't see them again. And all of a sudden we had gangs of these black Somalians all over the country.
Yeah.
So
it's scary. It's scary. There's a lot going on. And I also wanted to tell you, my friend told me Friday night that a Greyhound dropped off another 100 people in Springfield, Ohio. They're not slowing down. They don't intend to.
No. And I've talked to a friend of mine that works out at the airport, and they said they come in by the dozens, and then they sit in front of the terminals. They all pile up with all their stuff, and they sit there, and it's all men. And it's she says they're about 20, 25 years old. And then this bus shows up unmarked and picks them all up, and then they leave. And she says it's happening daily. So, and we know they're flying them in.
I'm telling you, this is if they brought their own army in, and I'm just going to say it, everything they brought across that border, they've already proven that these big boxes of weapons are being shipped to the houses where they're going. These people have plenty of weapons.
Yeah.
Look at what's happening in Colorado. It's terrifying.
Yes. And they still want to say, oh, no, it's not happening. But more and more, the mayor is starting to step forward and say, this is getting out of hand. Like in Springfield, I think, didn't that mayor mention that it's getting out of hand?
Yeah. Well, it's all getting, the thing is, it's getting out of hand, but there's a lot of people making money, and somebody found out about it, and it started with the eating the cats and the ducks and all that. That just brought attention to a bigger problem, and it's bringing attention to all these other cities that are having the exact same problem.
And even in New York, with the mayor there, and he was okay with it, but he's even what I've heard, the whispers at um, uh, the Capitol, that he's upset at Pelosi and telling her that they need to step up and do something because now his city is out of control and he don't have residents back. And if they think they're going to get tax money at the end of the year, they got another thing coming because everybody's leaving. The stores are, it's almost like, a dead man's village. What was the name of that movie? Uh, uh, is Escape to New York or something like that?
Oh yes,
With the gangs and the gangs took over and they,
New York, yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
I
Lord.
keep
It's
that
like
keeps
Mad Max.
flashing in my brain, and then it was Escape to L.A. The same thing happened, and I just really think that maybe there was some truth to those movies.
It
So
seems like they're always showing us what they're going to do to us. If you pay attention, they're letting us know.
yeah,
I think it's your whistleblowers on the inside who can't say anything, so they just show us through the artistic way.
yeah. So, do you
I mean,
have
they're
anything?
showing
Do you have anything
Sorry?
else? Keep going.
Well, I just wish I could have wrote down a lot. Well, this human trafficking thing, I don't know much about it. I do know that the FBI is investigating this King George person for human trafficking. And 28 businesses were raided in Dayton about a month ago. The Fuyao plant, owned by China, that has to do with making windshields, plastic cars, and the Dole Company. They all were raided and had lots of illegals pulled out of there. And there was not much said about it afterwards, just that it happened, and then they dropped it all. Everyone, they're trying to keep a lot of this quiet. It's pretty obvious, quite honestly.
Mary, what they shut up on, and when they get quiet, that's when I worry. Is remember we had all of those Chinese men coming over here.
Right.
And they're still coming in at the border, but no one talks about it.
And you can't just leave China.
No.
You have to have permission. So who are they? That's my question.
Well, what I'm hearing is they're going to these farms that some of the Chinese have bought. I'm in a farm, and there's a lot of farm workers, but there's certain times where they're in military uniform and patrolling the boundaries, like these 200-300 acre farms.
Right.
Why do they got to patrol, and why do they got to patrol with guns? And some of them
near military bases.
Bingo. I was just going to say that. And a lot of these are right next to military bases
and waterways.
Yeah.
And we've got one out here, can't say it, Harshman Dam, right Patterson Air Force Base. They're all right out here in that Fuyao plant's nearby. So, and they actually, I don't like to say anything I don't have it researched, but there's something strange with the wind farms too, and I don't have my facts, so I'm not going to say so. Mm-hmm. But something has to do with that too. The windmill farms the Chinese are building and putting up. Mm-hmm. They're part of that too.
And then, of course, the 10 or more police stations they have here now. See,
that makes no sense. Why do they have police in our country?
Because they say what they're doing is rounding up criminals that fled over here from China, and they're shipping them back. But that we don't know. Nobody's really looked into it really super hard to find out, is this really happening, or are they policing? Well, now I heard, places like San Francisco for Chinatown, they are doing a little bit of policing there. I haven't asked my sister Beth about it, see if she knows for sure, but that's what I'm hearing. A lot of places that have, like a tourist or whatever, where it's all separated out. Like the Bay Area does it. There were, the Filipinos live over here, the Mexicans live over here, Haitians live over here, Chinese live over here, Japanese over there. They're all kind of segregated into different neighborhoods. And I'm hearing that they patrol the Chinese part of it or Indonesia part of it. So
basically, that's what I've been looking into. I mean, I just got I got scared. I did when I saw the bricks. I thought, oh, here we go again.
yeah.
You know, and it just seems like they're just getting everybody real angry, and I just can't think of it any more obvious. The name of the march is Pissed Off American March. I mean, can we be more obvious trying to kick the beehive here?
And how many Americans are going to participate in this too? It's just hateful against, of the American dream.
Going away.
So
Absolutely going away. I mean, because you've got those, got the people. They're going. I'm sure that those people are going to be marching like they were the Hebrew Israelites. I'm sure they'll be marching there and be there too. What kind of trouble are they going to cause? I don't know. I don't know anything about
yeah,
them.
it's just we now have to keep an eye on our cities, the bigger cities. I'm even going to start watching Little Rock and a place called Pine Bluff, because we get a lot of gangs down there, and it's getting worse and worse. And Huckabee has been really good to be able to keep a lot of them out of our state. And it's not to be mean. We're just not a sanctuary city like Asa Hutchinson wanted us to be. He almost had us there, but then we had the election and it was blocked. But I can people, if you live close to any of these major cities, beware, because you could just feel it in the air that something's going to happen with these guys.
I do want to say real quick before I go that in Nevada, I have a friend who goes to Nevada, and the local people were complaining because the wildlife is disappearing around the mountainous areas there. Okay, and he said, why? And the guy says, you go there. There's a highway between Las Vegas and California, and if you take it, I don't know it. Gosh, I hate saying this. I don't have my facts. Can't write anything down. Anyway, that on both sides of the highway for miles, all tens of people who've come across the border, and they're eating all the wildlife.
Yeah. But, they give the hunters restrictions. Yeah. No, you can't hunt during this time, but the migrants can come in and get the deer anytime they want. No.
Well, these people, they're also living in the woods. They're living in the mountains. I'm wondering if they're going to get called out. Waiting for that one word. Hey, let's get them. I mean, maybe I'm being a little, presumptuous here or scared, but I kind of feel look surrounded, kind of like we're being ambushed.
Yep, that's what I'm talking about. That's the where everything seems the air. Something's in the air. Something's gonna happen. And then of course I had a report Monday about Congress being ready for a catastrophe.
What's that about?
Well, I'm going to read it to you here in a little bit. I'm going to get through some of the news. And so, Mary, you have to hang on, and you can add to me and William. And
okay, well, thank you for having me. I just was concerned. I thought people should know what's going on, because we may have a big, crazy Antifa rally, because they said they were coming on the 28th in Springfield, Ohio. It seems like something crazy might happen.
Stay home and lock your doors, and just find something to do at home that day. Get the popcorn, and maybe watch Ellie's trivia that day. Watch one of my trivia shows. Okay, so I wanted to let me get this banner out here. Show you some of the footage I got today. This is the eye of the storm. They got a sneak peek as the storm churned in Florida. So here we go, and then we'll bring William in, and then we will so inside the eye of Helene. Wow. All right, let's move on. So William, you still awake there?
I'm still here, yeah.
No, I was hoping we didn't put you to sleep. You know, I thought
Well,
maybe I'd have to have Miki poke you for some.
well, she's nibbling at my toes. She wants to go gravy
Yeah.
at the grocery store.
So China launches intercontinental ballistic missile into the Pacific hours after Biden's UN address. So China, after the Jinping heard what Biden had to say, he wasn't very impressed, and he said, "You know what? We're going to launch a few ballistic missiles to the Pacific, towards the Pacific, to show them how we feel about this." Um, so um, it was definitely into the Pacific Ocean, and this was as of this morning. Uh, they say on Wednesday, following a speech on international stage by Biden. I think it was yesterday, wasn't it, William? He spoke.
Yeah,
They're
he did his
kind of
farewell.
like what 24 hours ahead of us or something. They're a day ahead, something like that.
But Biden did his farewell speech to the United Nations for his, you know, for his time in the administration. And so, you know, when you're a lame duck, you can say any damn thing you want.
Yeah. Well, they said the missile, it's a dummy warhead, and it was not really targeted at any nation, they said. And China said, but it fell into the ocean without any incident. So what are you all getting heated up about?
So they haven't fired a missile in 20 years. So this is an escalation of tensions. They didn't target anything, but at the same time, they know the United States is reoccupying islands that they had during World War II, like Tinian and Midway and whatnot, and revamping those airstrips. And so, you know, the Chinese are angry that the United States is starting to push into the South Pacific beyond Hawaii. They see that as their territory. And so this is kind of like a type of communications between superpowers. This is how they do it. If China has claims on southern islands in Japan, Russia has some claims on some northern islands in Japan. This all happens as one big monolithic BRICS movement, if you will, or Red Pack. And this is communicating to U.S. intelligence and our militaries what their intentions are into the future.
Yeah. So I'm going to move on, and I wanted to get this over with because this is just sick. This little kid, not little kid, this kid is sick. This is the son of Trump's assassination attempt suspect, Ryan Root. So he was arrested now. His son was on federal charges. And Mary, you're not going to like this. This is really going to get you. They found documents and child porn files on 2 different devices with this guy. Wonder if I could. Let me show you a picture. Here's a picture of him and his dad. So this is his son that they found this stuff on. They said it's videos from known child pornography series that created outside the state of North Carolina. Um, the videos are the only ones he really had on his devices were girls between the ages of 6 and 8 interacting with adult women. Not only that, but there was also underage girls between the ages of 12 and 14 with men, and or both, they said. Um, Mary, I know you're probably sickened with this one. So he has been arrested and he's been charged. So both him and his dad, Orrin Root, the son of Trump's would-be assassin, has been arrested for possessing hundreds of child porn files. They found child porn files during the search of Orrin Ruth's resident in Guilford, looking for more evidence on his father, and came across this. So both of these, wow,
Kelly,
yeah,
what's interesting is where he procured them from. Those are child pornography files that he picked up at sites that are run by the CIA, FBI, and Homeland Security. So prior to his father making his little assault on the golf course, they were online in contact with U.S. spy agencies.
yeah,
And I want you to just let that kind of filter through your minds where that goes.
yeah. And boy, we got a lot of United States stuff to start off with. Now, George Soros. A lot of my viewers know about George Soros, and he is one that's funds most of these protests. Most of the hatred in the United States is paid for by George Soros. He's getting pretty old, and he has put his son in charge now. Now, a few weeks ago, and I told you this on one of my other shows, that Alex Soros has been showing up at the White House on dozens of occasions. Well, a few weeks ago, he was there with Kamala Harris, and he did a photo shoot with her. Now, then a week ago, we found out he was back at the White House, and it didn't say who he was meeting with that time. But now he is meeting with Tim Walz in a private meeting of a New York City apartment to talk with him and have a special meeting with him. So something is amiss. But we've always known the top Democrats are very close in relationships with the Soros family. So I'm just concerned because these are the protesters that me and Mary talked about. Mary, I don't know. I think I told you on the phone about this, but this could be the plan where Alex Soros is coming over and trying to find out a lot about these migrants and where they're at, because their organizations is what helps fund these people. So, Mary, you still there? I think we lost her. I told her she could stay. All right. Now, there was a briefing to Trump today on the Iranian assassination plot. Now, there's supposed to be 5 different, according to Iran, they're boasting, there's 5 different um, um, groups that are going after. Yeah, for an what? William? William, were you going to say something?
Yeah, they're assassination teams, and I guess what Trump was he was given a briefing by U.S. intelligence also about these bad actors that are pushing their way in, if you will.
Yeah, and they're saying that there's going to be more. There's going to be more, but to brief him on that, Iran has now said they're sending a terrorist plot to assassinate him. I'm sorry.
Well, they have 6 or 8 targets here in the United States, like the former Secretary of State, the former CIA head of the CIA. So, because the United States hit their main military planner, was driving a car into Iraq after landing on an airplane, and we blew up his car with a drone. So, at that moment, they issued what they call a fatwa, a call out to any Islamic person that understands and believes in Sharia, that there's a number of people that need to be removed so that Iran can save face.
Yeah. So, they do have the military. I check with a military friend of mine, and everybody is on active status or emergency status. What would they call that, William? I should have wrote the name down. Or they put everybody high alert on all the
Yeah,
bases.
they go to defense. So it's called in the military defense conditions. And so they've gone from green to yellow. And then if something is imminent, then they go to red. And if it's in the works, it's actually happening, they go to black. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the colors. And right now they've gone to defense color yellow.
So it just a heightened alert for everybody that lives around these bases. They are there is an alert going on, and because we don't know what's going to happen next with Iran, whether they're going to come and do anything, or if some of these migrant terrorists are going to do anything. So now we're on we have a heightened alert for the United States. Now, who else is on a heightened alert? What? I'm sorry.
If you feel you're in danger of one of these riots, and you have no place to go that you feel safe, not even a police station or sheriff, you can go to the nearest military base, active military base, and seek refuge.
Yeah.
Because they have full security there, and they can bring you in temporarily until it's safe for you to leave. So if you get to a point where, as a civilian, you don't feel safe in the world that you're living in here in the United States, there are places of refuge, and that's where you want to move to.
And Mary, did you hang up? Because I tried to get you to say something. Now you weren't on there no more. Now, another one on heightened alert is Mexico's Congress puts the National Guard and their, not only that, but the police department, some of them, under military command, because it has gotten so bad, they say, with the terrorists and the prison gangs coming through Mexico, that they now have to militarize their National Guard and their police departments. So it's even getting bad down in Mexico, folks. I mean, we don't feel bad because Mexico is not doing nothing, but now they're going to have to, because they're being terrorized. Mexico's being terrorized. So now they have to.
The border's not controlled by either Mexico or the United States. Okay, let's just say that right now. It is controlled by the cartels. Now, Mexico knows that if Trump, for whatever reason, gains the presidency, that those cartel leaders are going to be snatched up. We're going to, relocate them to a safer place, if you will.
Yeah.
And Mexico's nervous about this.
Yeah. Now over in Israel, folks, everybody has really criticized the IDF for claiming that there was missiles in people's homes. And so, since they're going in and they're breaking it up, and they're getting there before some of them are launched, some of them after they've been launched, they decided to put pictures out to show everybody that these are real. These are in people's houses. Here's one right here. I mean, this one's in a garage, someone's garage. And here's a house that they, this is an airstrike against a home in Lebanon. This is a home where one of these missiles came from. So they said that it's true. It's real. They're not just making this up to make everybody feel sorry for Israel. They're just not. So those are the pictures. Now,
so they're using cruise missiles. They're using unguided missiles. They're using surface-to-surface missiles, all provided by Iran. Hezbollah is in these homes. And right now, Israel's telling the people who have left their homes, the neighborhoods that Israel has put on the radio so that the Lebanese civilians can get out of the way. They're telling them, don't come home for a little while because this operation is going to continue for about 10 days. And so they're 2.5 days into this. They're striking all these weapons that they've located. Now, it's not just recently they located these weapons. They've been looking at it for about 18 years. All these are targeted sites that in the event there was an assault on Israel, that these were the weapons they wanted to take out before they could be launched to Israel. So they had one home with a cruise missile. They knocked down a wall in the basement so that they could launch this, I think it was a WW3 cruise missile built by Iran. And they just demolished the whole house. So, they're getting a lot of what they call secondary explosions. So when a missile comes in or a bomb comes into one of these facilities, we'll just call them facilities because they're not homes anymore. If they've got really dangerous weapons, right? They're a facility at that point. They're no longer home. Civilians are living there, but it's a facility. And when they're bombed or missiled, they get lots of secondary explosions. Like in southern Lebanon, in one of the cities, they hit the base of the building, and you can see people running around the street as all these missiles come flying out, uncontrolled out of this building, chasing them down the street. It was chaotic.
Yeah.
Now, Lebanon is very afraid right now because they're afraid Israel is going to make an incursion, not necessarily war, but an incursion into southern Lebanon, and that is a real possibility right now because Israeli army is calling up their reserve and guard brigades right now. So we've got people coming back in and making sure their tanks are operational, all the goodies, of war.
And not only that, but we're even sending over many. And I found out right before I came on about Australia's even sending ground troops, and they're going to move one of their submarines over there.
So this is the United States is doing what we call a police action. That means the threat of the United States moving forward into one of those zones to cause a more peaceful outcome. But what the United States is saying to Israel is, okay, defend yourself, right? But don't go too far. We're only going to let you move so far.
Well, I don't think we could them, William. Netanyahu and the president they got a plan, and I don't think any country is going to be able to stop what their plan is.
Well, they're not going to be able to stop them immediately. But the United States, once Americans if they start dying and coming back in body bags, everything changes in the world.
Yep, that's it. Now, I think it was Monday I mentioned this. Lawmakers prepare for a mass casualty push of a constitutional amendment to undermine the election integrity and control the House vacancies in a national crisis, they said. But it was the content of what they were saying to make sure that the Congress and senators' families were okay. Should they be worried? And they said yes. So they're talking a mass casualty event.
It's called a continuity of government operation.
Continuity of
government operations. So Russia just threatened London with a nuclear strike. all right, the other day. The United States picked up on that. We have concerns about unrest in the United States around the election. It is prudent, okay, it's prudent that they prepare for continuity of government operation. So everybody that's going to be moved is already set up on alert, so they can move people quickly and protect them until the unrest is over, and then if they have to reintroduce control later, because we have to maintain civilian control of our military. Our military is not just allowed to act independently. We are a military in the United States that is directly civilian controlled. It's one of the reasons our military is trusted around the world, is because they know the military can't just act independently. They have to have presidential authorization or a declaration of war by Congress.
Yeah. Now they said that the big thing was, I just lost my spot. They want to, lawmakers are pushing for a system where governors can swiftly appoint new members to Congress, Senate, and also it could be even the mayors of certain towns. It can be up and be replaced if something of this casualty happens to take them out of office. So,
yeah, they call that a mass casualty event. And I want the people in the United States to understand, we have a secondary government sitting in the wings. We always have a secondary government. And we have a line of succession. So if the line of succession no longer works, the secondary government will emerge. And they're completely documented, okay? This isn't like nobody knows about it. This has already been, it's understood by the U.S. military that we have a secondary, so we can never go without civilian control of the United States government.
and then we mentioned the other day about, I'm trying to see if I can find a date on this. I thought I found one. But anyway, defense bill officially adds women military draft registration. It moves to the House floor for full vote. This is something that's in this budget that they've postponed until for it to be passed in December. So it's going to be interesting to see. So it could mean our girls, 18 and over, could be a part of the draft. Get your kids ready, folks. Get your kids ready.
The reason that they're doing this is because if the males in the U.S. government file lawsuits to the Supreme Court, because everybody in the United States is seen as equal, they believe the Supreme Court will not be able to protect females from being drafted this time around.
Yeah, this administration, William, though, they have pushed on so much of equality. Maybe girls want to go. These women do want to go. Maybe they do. And I think it ought to be a choice on the draft. They can pull them up, say, do you want to go or no? But once the draft hits, right? There's no choice.
You can volunteer when you want to go into the military, but if there's a draft, you don't have a choice where you go.
Nope. You got to go sign up, and then they start shipping you out. And then these girls that have been trying to claim equality with these boys, they need to stop and think over this next year of how they want to go forward in this world and into adulthood. They want to be drafted, or do they want to be?
Yeah, let me explain something. Females in the U.S. military, it doesn't matter if you have children. You have to make arrangements for your children, but you're still going to be shipped out.
That's right.
The government sees human bodies as, if we wanted to have you if we wanted you to have a family, we would have issued you one.
That's it.
You hate something like that.
Yep.
But these folks that get drafted, they could still be a single mom with 3 kids. Too bad they're going to grandma's house because
That's
grandma's over the age.
It'd be a family member, friend, or wherever they could put them.
That's right.
So, all right, William. South Korea is going to buy hundreds of Polish war-made kamikaze drones. I joked about this earlier, but yeah, these are launchers is what we. No, I'm sorry, that was the other. William. Okay, it's late. Okay, they're going to get these drones because of the fact of North Korea having these drones, but they want them to be kamikaze type. To where they can dive bomb, either take out other drones, it said, or expect it could. I don't even think Kim Jong Un's going to go for this one. It's going to cause Kim Jong Un to think twice about sending his drones. It will be destroyed. I think he'll do them anyway, William. I don't think this is going to.
We have something new occurring in warfare, and it's called drone swarming. And so you'll have hundreds of drones suddenly appear, just like when they used drones to do 4th of July light shows, right? Well, they could put bombs on these things, swarm a military base or a capital or whatever, and do their thing.
Yeah.
And North Korea has that capacity right now. All right. That's not a difficult thing because they can buy these drones from China right now by the trainload. All right, and then arm them. Well, South Korea, understanding that, is saying, well, we're going to have a counter battery. Mm-hmm. And that's what you do when you've got a demilitarized zone. That's what's between North Korea and South Korea, is a demilitarized zone. On both sides, they'll build up their batteries or counter batteries against each other to maintain that demilitarized zone and avoid war. North Korea and South Korea are still in a state of war from the Korean War back in the early 50s. They haven't gone through a truce. They've just gone through a ceasefire. That's it.
Yeah. And then, same thing with South Korea. The whole Iraq is going to import 2.8 billion in South Korean missile systems. Now, what do these things look like? Here we go. There you go. Here's some of those missiles that's going to be imported. And Iraq has signed this. It says 3.28 trillion Iraq dinar deal with South Korea defense firm. Now, these are called Cheonggang 2s or MSAM-2. These medium-range missiles, medium altitude surface-to-air missile systems, is designed to intercept ballistic missiles and aerial threats. So that's what these are for, is a defense system that they're getting. So you could see South Korea is even building up. Japan has been building up. The Philippines are building up. Taiwan definitely is building.
Watching the Israeli and the Ukrainian war right now, and you have to build up for the wars that are most probable. And Israel has been very effective using what they call the Iron Dome, and Ukraine wishes they had a system that was as effective as Iron Dome. But luckily for Israel is much smaller. It has less territory to protect. But Ukraine is a huge country. It's just impossible to protect all of
it. Staying over there, I just mentioned Japan, but Japan says Russian patrol aircraft violates its airspace response by firing flares. I mentioned to William earlier that are they going to start? Russia going to start bumping boats just like China? Maybe, I don't know. They said it was military patrol aircraft violated Japanese airspace near Hokkaido's island. 3 separate occasions on Monday, prompting Japan Self-Defense Force to dispatch an aircraft and emergency response to them firing flares. So Russia's firing flares at them. No, nothing. Uh, and it's not meant to hit them. It's meant just to get close enough to make it look like there's missiles coming at them. And they're just actually flares. Well, I tell you.
It's an intimidating act. Remember what we said, well, anytime the United States has a weak government, all the land borders, even sea borders that countries have claim on, they're going to push to reclaim those border areas.
Yeah.
The United States reluctantly is the world's police. And when we just don't have a strong leadership, these countries are going to act up because, well, they can.
The sister, oh boy, here we go. Sister in North Korea, boy, vowed Tuesday to boost the country's nuclear war capability and take other steps, not just to protest. She's vowed to expand their nuclear arsenal, and only because the U.S. Navy submarines were visiting South Korea, and she claims that that is their next mission of the United States to start giving either South Korea or other countries in Indonesia, Philippines, Kuwait, not Kuwait, Taiwan. Boy, I'm tongue-tied tonight, William. And Japan could be getting, she claims, they're going to be getting submarines, big submarines from the United States. And it's all surrounding them. They feel it's not really to surround China, but all of this aggression from these countries are all pointed at North Korea first. And then after they do away with North Korea, they're going to go after China. So his sister says it's now time to start increasing of nuclear power, their own nuclear power capabilities, and take other steps to protest what they are doing.
So if you're going to intimidate ships at sea on the surface, and you're afraid there's a ballistic missile submarine or an attack submarine nearby, you're going to behave, right? Because you don't know what's going to come swimming at you very quickly.
Yeah.
They're angry about this.
Well, we don't even, but William, we don't usually see his sister step up unless it starts getting real serious. Well, obviously, she has taken this submarine visit to South Korea as a major threat. Now she's hot. She's mad.
If you're a dictator and you're paranoid, and you see something out of the ordinary, you become terrified, because remember, the retirement for a dictator is the grave.
Yeah. And
historically, that's just the fact, okay? It's a law of nature. And these folks that are in power, they've learned this, they've been taught this, okay? They understand it as a fact of life. And, she's a nasty critter, and so she's going to be a little bit paranoid.
Oh yeah, she's like a Siamese cat on steroids.
Yeah.
Don't put her in the. We did a thing on the last show about a joke with putting the cat in the toilet to wash it. You know what? You ain't even going to get that woman near water. I'm afraid she'll melt. No, I'm teasing. William, now you mentioned something about the B-22-1 Raiders. Now, what did you have on that?
So the B-21 Raider is in production right now. It's slow rate production. The United States has received their first 3 aircraft. These are not just like trial aircraft or one-off aircraft. These are actually production airframes, just like they would go to the military right now. They didn't do a test aircraft because it was all done on computers. Okay, so they understand how these are built, the way they're supposed to function, everything. But they're being tested right now by the Air Force. So they've received the first 3. Well, these are a big upgrade from the B-2 Spirit bomber. And there's a bit of a debate going on in the Pentagon whether to use those not just as bombers, but as attack aircraft using fighters, drone swarms, all right, Royal Wingman aircraft around them to engage in battle. And because they're the very latest in stealth technology, they're hard to detect. And as well as these new Royal Wingman, these AI drone aircraft, killer aircraft that can be around them in the numbers, right? It can be a way of repelling or keeping China in check. And so there's this intellectual argument going on right now whether we should be using, and keep in mind these are $750 million aircraft in the role of air-to-air superiority. It's interesting.
So I've been putting some of the pictures up, and it's the B-21 Raider stealth bomber. This was done by Northrop Source. Grumman?
Northrop Grumman is the manufacturer, and they are extremely, from what the reports we're getting, is they are extremely capable aircraft. They are dangerous in the sky. They are the very peak of danger.
Yeah. So that, and then you had something on the oil ships, I think is one of the last things.
Yeah, so the United States has what they call oilers. And these oilers bring out bunker fuel to destroyers that run on turbine engines and diesel engines, and they bring out things like aviation fuel to aircraft carriers. Even though it's a nuclear aircraft carrier, aircraft still have to use, good old oil and fuel. So we have an oiler that got damaged down towards the Middle East, and it's our only oiler. Now, don't think that we're in trouble, because we have all these allies around the world in these ports, and we contract other oilers, okay, from these other countries to bring in oil to our shipping. So, but it was interesting to hear we only had one oil actually in direct control of the U.S. military. The rest is just contract work.
So there we have it, folks. It was a long show, but we had that 30-minute special report with Mary, and hopefully I can get on Dave Hodges with some of the info that I have. I got it in detail from my ISIS, tracking ISIS quite a few years ago. So maybe Dave Hodges will have me on. We'll see. So I'm pretty enough for it.
That's right. Everybody's pretty enough to be on Dave Hodges, right?
What do you think, Mary? I don't know. So anyway, we're gonna. My phone's beeping. I'm gonna go ahead and go, and we thank everyone for watching, and subscribe and share and hit that like button and the bell. And we will be back on Friday. Like I said, I'm not sure if I will do a lifestyle show or if it just be news and trivia, but we definitely want you to come on back and play some trivia on Friday. That's a hot show. So, all right, William, I thank you very much for being a host with me, and we're almost through another week. Oh, I wanted to let everybody know. YouTube got a hold of me on the original YouTube channel, Investigators, is so horrible to them. I haven't used it in a long time, but I am so horrible to them. They just went ahead and took the channel under, their policies. So it no longer exists. They let me know that today. So now we have what we're on now, Investigator News 2. I might have to create another investigators something. I think we have a network or something that's out there too, and one more that we can go to. But they did take the original channel, so I'm sending them a thing to tell them to send me my videos, the ones I made. Yeah, we'll see about that. All right, folks, you have a nice and wonderful Wednesday. Survivor's on tonight. For those that are missed it, probably watching the show, you can always watch it on Paramount or I think Hulu. So thank you much, William. I appreciate this. And we will see.
It was enjoyable hearing Mary as well. I hope we hear from her again.
Yeah, maybe Mary. I've been wanting to have Mary on, and maybe once her hand fixes up, we can have her picture, and you guys can see her talking live with me. So with that, we thank everyone for watching, and we will see everyone on Friday. Okay, William. Run a little long, but that was okay. We still Thank you.